up, guys? Good morning, fireyourtrainer.net. Today we are going to be talking about breasts, boobs. I've had so many requests for this video from members on the site and from clients, so I figured it was time to broach the subject. The two biggest issues with boobs and fitness: posture, pain, back pain, and fat loss, small boobs, and implants. There seems to be this stigma in fitness about boobs. You have to get lean, but you have to keep your boobs. So as you lose body fat and the leaner you get, since your boobs are primarily composed of fat, you lose boob. So this happened to me. I lost 70 pounds and I lost everything. I was probably size B and I went down to a AA push-up. I didn't even really need to wear a bra. That was kind of disheartening. I was built in what they would refer to as a runner's build. So I have this big butt, thick legs, relatively flat stomach, kind of smaller upper body, and then no boobs. It was demotivating, to say the least. I'd look at myself in the mirror, I could see the line of my pec straight across, and then it was just skin below. So I made the choice to get implants. Now, implants can be put in underneath the muscle, underneath the pec, or they can be put in over top of the muscle. I chose to go underneath the muscle. I chose to go with subpectoral implant because obstructing milk production when you get pregnant, and the leaner you get, the more likely you are to see the scalloping of the implant underneath the skin. And that's not particularly cute. So especially women who have had implants for a very long time often see more scalloping just as the pocket becomes looser and looser anyway. I went with subpectoral implants, which make it harder to work out. They make push movements a lot harder. And in some cases, they even make pull movements a lot harder. As I flex my pec, my implant underneath the muscle slides out to the side. If I'm not wearing a highly supportive bra, it can create pain to the outside or underneath the breast. I also periodically get zingers or random nerve firing, painful, down towards the nipple. That hasn't bothered me as much since I got my implants done 6 years ago. But in that first year or even 2 years, I felt them frequently, and it's alarming. Women who are considering getting implants, these are just a few things that you need to be aware of. Wear probably a size smaller sports bra when you go to work out than you anticipate that you would need. When you are reintroducing chest or push exercises into your routine, go light and feel it out. I couldn't do a push-up for almost a year after I had my implants put in. Now I can do them just fine. Now I'm accustomed to how weird it feels and a little bit of discomfort. For those who don't know, this is why I actually wore this bra. This is why subpec implants become an issue. So you can see my cleavage completely disappears. My implant slides out to the sides. In the beginning, it was embarrassing. So I would wear, I'd pull my shirts up so that I had no cleavage or you couldn't really see it. Now it's just a fact of life. My implant slides out to the sides, whatever. I wear a nice supportive bra when I'm doing chest. There aren't the same problems that arise with suprapectoral, but since I haven't had kids yet and I do want to breastfeed when I get pregnant, Boris is still being a maniac. Okay, if you guys saw my Instagram story today, you know that Boris is being a crazy person. He's vacillating between running up and down the halls like a maniac and trying to climb on the back of my chair and climb into my lap while I'm doing this video. So it's making it very challenging. Okay, so natural boobs. Natural boobs come along with their own host of problems. Posture problem, back pulling in the chest, sagging, size fluctuations as you gain or as you lose body fat. I have had several clients with very, very large breasts, and they wind up with either poor posture or chronic back pain, neck pain even. So why is that, and how can you fix it? For starters, your breast pulls you forward and down, especially as you're running. You get this constant tug on your chest and it gets very uncomfortable, or you get a raise and a slap down as you're running. They create excess strain on the upper body. So what happens? Well, you wind up with forward and pulled down shoulders just from the weight of the breast pulling you down, which in turn protracts your shoulder blade and creates this kind of candy cane posture with your upper body. What can you do to avoid that? Well, you always want to make sure that your chest is first mobile, second strong. So when you sit in this sort of hunched position for such a long period of time, the muscles get what's called hyperactive and weak. So the muscles are hypertonic, they're incredibly tight, but they're still very weak. So they're just kind of hanging on like cliffhangers. They're just holding on for dear life to sort of try and stabilize your chest. What do you do about that? Well, you stretch and you strengthen. I would say that the most problematic muscle is the pec minor. It kind of comes up and runs down this way. It's what pulls your shoulder down, or it's one of the muscles that pull your shoulder down. Stretching it is quite effective, but you have to hold the stretch for at least 2 minutes. This is my favorite. I lay on my back on the floor, put my arm out at shoulder height, create this 90-degree angle at the elbow, and I hold a weight or a light medicine ball in this hand, and I allow it to sort of pull my hand back onto the ground. I feel the stretch through the front side of my shoulder. By the time I'm done, 2 to 3 minutes later, I feel immensely better. So what's the drawback of having a tight pec? Well, for starters, any other movement that you do with your upper body is now in a more compromised position. Think of doing something overhead with a forward shoulder. You're trying to press something overhead with your arm out here. Well, that's not good. You need to be able to extend. You need thoracic extension. So let's say that you're creating this thoracic extension, but your shoulder is still tight. So what happens then? You lean back that way, and all of the pressure goes into your low back. So people who do shoulder presses with a very, very tight pec minor or a forward shoulder wind up hurting their low back, or they feel a lot of compression in their low spine. So you need to be able to really pull back without any discomfort. Starting with the chest, stretch, strengthen. Strengthen, you can do scapular push-ups here, like in plank position, like you're gonna do a push-up, but you don't do anything except let your shoulders drop and then raise them away. Now looking to the back. So when you've got this forward shoulder for a long period of time, you wind up slumping. Well, start by strengthening. You want to retract that shoulder blade, pull back, squeeze it hard, relax, and relax. So there's a double movement from the shoulder on everything you do. Every row that you do should have 2 movements. It should be shoulder blade, arm, squeeze. Arm, shoulder blade. The shoulder is unique in this way. You have to move the shoulder blade before you initiate arm movement. So that is part of strengthening your upper back. Anything where you're rowing your weights and retracting those shoulder blades together to help sort of correct that posture. Also, what comes along with this, because your spine obviously just isn't your upper back, you've got low back involved as well. Because we need to balance as humans, we need to stay upright overall, then your low back winds up swinging forward. Whether it becomes sway back or it becomes this hyperlordotic curve or anterior pelvic tilt, you need to find how to strengthen that. So if I had sway back and I were looking like this, I was gonna stand up like that. That is sway back. My hips are just coming forward. My low back is still relatively neutral, but I'm here. I see this a lot. I'm quite surprised about it, actually, how often I see this. That's tight glutes, that's weak low abs, and that's tense erectors. Even your, thoracolumbar fascia can get tight from it. So how do you fix that? Stretch, stretch, stretch. Think like child's pose. I'm gonna sit here on the bed so you can actually see my face. That's like child's pose, stretching your glutes, strengthening your hip flexors as well. So your psoas, which connects from here through to the front, your TFL, so the front side of your hip bones. A lot of your hip flexors need strengthening. Just because you sit all day long and they're tight doesn't mean that they're strong. So you've got to take the time to lying leg raises. I'll post some things in my exercise library later on. My low abs are incredibly weak because I spent the first 25 years of my life fat and in a anterior pelvic tilt. So that's the second one of our low back problems. So outside of just sway back, you wind up with anterior pelvic tilt. What that means is that these muscles below the belly button get incredibly weak. That means that these muscles, your external obliques, become very weak. That means that these muscles, TFL and psoas, get incredibly tight because they're in this flexed position. So what do you need to do to fix that? You want to focus on drawing up and drawing forward. Fix your external obliques, fix your low abs, and then stretch your hip flexors out and strengthen your hip flexors. So I do a lot of sandbag carries because it's insanely good for keeping you in that internal torque position. It strengthens the psoas. I felt different from the first sandbag carry I did on. It felt like there were just little people in there pushing my spine backwards, straightening me up. Despite the fact that it hurts like a bitch while you're doing it, you wake up the next day and you just feel a little straighter and just a little stronger. So sandbag carries, medicine ball carries, done this way. So grip, grip, hands below belly button, stand up, relatively straight, neutral spine. That's my recommendation. This video is getting kind of long. I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up. I will be posting a couple of links down below for bra suggestions, and I will also post a link to my website so that you can go check out Exercise Library and start working on strengthening some of these weak muscle groups. So that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have a really great day. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, follow, all of the things.